Have you ever dreamed of life? Who want a fantastic world where anything is possible? And we are than ever. Intensively, dreams end when you wake up. But even if dreams are fantastic, often they are not what they appear to be. And not everything is rosy. This is the story of Coraline and the secret door. We started this story with somewhat peculiar hands, making a doll and letting it go. From there, we move on to the Pink Palace, apartments where a new family moves in. That of a young woman named Coraline. She goes out to explore in search of a well, while a cat chases her to an area where a young Deathstalker appears. To give it a scare, this young man is a very talkative person, which Coraline does not like at all. The cat happens to be his. This one is introduced as Wybie. Tells him that his grandmother is the owner of the Pink Palace, but I believed that she did not rent to couples with children, because it is somewhat dangerous, which makes no sense right now. But that, later on, yes. Coraline is the typical girl, lack of attention, that their parents ignore for work reasons. I would say the typical. The mother gives him a package that Wybie left him, a doll that looks just like her, who, according to him, found her in the trunk of her cell. And no one finds this strange. Either there's something shady or Wybie is a fucking stalker. I would say the latter. Coraline goes to her father to see if he leaves it. Use gardening tools. He asks her if her mother has already given her permission, but it turns out that it does not, so he sends it to scrub or good. Sends it to account for the windows and the doors of the house. In that, the doll goes into a corner, where there is a small door, which is upholstered next to the wall. Coraline asks her mother to open it for her. But not to anyone's surprise, the door leads nowhere. There are only bricks on the other side. Coraline has a lousy life. Gray, I would say, since he is far from his friends. In a gloomy place, where you don't even have decent food, because his parents are very busy. To go shopping for something, at night, a rat interrupts Coraline's sleep to guide her to the door. That to their surprise, a path appears. That takes her to the same place in the house. Weird things, but even weirder is that in the kitchen his mother is cooking. But this one has buttons on her eyes. This one tells him she is his other mother and sends her to find her other father for dinner. This one turns out to be a guy who has a piano that plays. It touches itself. This seems to be a reality, like the one Coraline wants. Full of colors and good food, and most importantly, attentive in parents. And even her to sleep. Even heal their wounds. When he wakes up, he finds his real home. But his arm is still healed. Running to the door, realizes that it is sealed. Although it seems to me useless for him to enter through the door. But he only fell asleep to come back. Coraline tells his parents what happened on the other side. But as is common in these cases, they do not believe anything. In other words, her mother sends her to visit her neighbors that are a bit particular. Well, they are rare. When I saw the movie as a child, the characters scared me to death. And since you look at this design, what does that son of a bitch look like? These designs, I find them the most disturbing thing about the movie. Because look, this is a Russian acrobat that trains mice for a. This one tells Coraline that the mice, he is told not to enter through the secret door, which leaves her confused but will not give her any importance. Then goes to his other neighbors, who used to have a show, and now they are the dog crazies. But they are really crazy. Design their deceased dogs. And read the leaves of tea. Coraline. Well, they are witches in a nutshell, but what the hell? What is happening to you? Jesus, I do give good to an old woman like this. Read the tea leaves. And one hand appears like the one at the beginning of the movie. The neighbors. Coraline is warned that she is in danger. But this one doesn't give a shit. Thinks they are crazy, and he is right. I do not judge her. On the way out, he meets Wybie and his cat. He mentions that he has never entered the palace. Rosa tells him that her grandmother does not want to, because his sister disappeared in the house when they were girls. She asks for more explanations, but he leaves. All this being observed by the cat. And Coraline's doll, sleeping, waits for the rats to guide her to the door. Enters again to see his other mother, who is cooking. Tells him again to look for his father. In the garden, this is a place full of life. Thing Coraline loves. There he sees his father watering the garden. In a flying watering mantis, Dad gives you an overview of what it looks like from above, forming Coraline's face. Very amazing everything at the dinner. The other mother tells him that the Russian invites her to his mouse show, and that her friend YB is waiting for her. But there is something strange, since this one does not speak. His mother tells him that she arranged for him to stop talking. Suspicious thing, no. Well, they go to the mouse show. And in this world he is not as scary as he is outside. At the end of the show, goes to sleep again and wakes up angry. Seeing that he returned to his sad reality, her mother takes her to buy the uniform to go to school, which is also gray. Coraline wanted gloves, but his mother does not buy them for him, which bothers her. In the car, they fight because his mother sealed the door, because there was mouse droppings. Upon arrival at home, his mother realizes that he forgot to buy food and goes to the supermarket. Coraline looks for the key to the door and goes straight to the other world. While watching her, YB's cat, that it was daytime, not that it was only night, that the door opened. Clothes made by his other mother were waiting for him there, with a note that invites him to his neighbor's show. On the way there, he runs into YB's cat, but this one has no buttons and talks. This one tells him that nothing is what it seems. He is the same cat in the real world. He comes and goes when he wants to. The other mother wants him away, but he always comes in. This one hears something and leaves. Coraline goes to her neighbor's show, where there are a lot of dogs and there is YB. In the show, the two sisters are young and beautiful and make a great performance. As she left, her other parents were waiting for her. Coraline lets him know how delighted she is, who is with this world. That's where the other mother mentions to him that if he wants to stay, she can, but on one condition. Has to sew buttons in his eyes, which Coraline does not like at all. But this one pretends be tired and tell him he will think about it. So he goes to sleep quickly, but never to return. But when he wakes up, he is still in the other world, and the door where the portal is located is closed. She goes to her other father, but he is no longer happy. I would say rather decayed. She asks him about YB, and he tells her he's not here because he made a long face. And Mom doesn't like that. Coraline runs out of the house, but everything turns white. The cat that meets her accompanies her and tells him that the other mother will not let her go because she wants love or something to eat. As they continue walking, they arrive back home. Coraline enters and breaks the latchkey of the door, where the other mother is located, and a cockroach blocks the entrance to the portal. The other mother and Coraline. So the other mother gets angry and begins to change its appearance to a malnourished and tall, takes Coraline as a punishment to a stranger, where he sees the other trapped children, good to their spirits. They tell him that the witch attracted them in the same way, and then sewed buttons in their eyes. So Coraline promises to release them. The other YB ends up pulling her out of the mirror. This one had his mouth sewn on with a macabre smile, but helps her escape through the portal. On the way out, he looks for his parents everywhere, but can't find them anywhere. In that, YB appears, who sent him to look for the doll as it was dangerous. But Coraline enters the house telling him everything that has happened, but as expected, YB doesn't believe anything in him and runs away, calling the crazy one. Coraline goes to her neighbors to tell him about his parents' disappearance, and they give you an object that will help her find him lost. Coraline goes to bed missing her parents. In that, the cat appears that shows him where his parents are, in the same castle where she was locked up, and then shows him a doll of his parents. So Coraline decides to go looking for him. Entering the portal again, the cat warns him that he is going straight into his trap, and mentions that if he still wants to fight, that challenges her to a game. As the witch is by, the boy sees his mother, but this was the witch in disguise. This one sends a rat to bring the key and close the portal, swallowing the key. In the process, we see that the other parent is already very emaciated. Coraline is filled with courage and challenges them to a game, where, if you win, will free all, but if he loses, he sews his eyes. Coraline has to find the children's eyes that are in each of the cells that were prepared in this world, which are now a very murky version of them. Coraline uses object given to her by her neighbors to find them. In the first one, he confronts his other father in the garden, but the garden falls down and gives him the first eye. We see that on the moon reflects the time you have to get your eyes. In the second one, he goes with the neighbors, who are now candy Siamese twins, and dogs are bats that end up attacking the Siamese twins. So Coraline gets it very easily. Now goes to the Russian acrobat, which is now made up of mice then. Coraline almost killed herself and the mouse. With the last eye escapes, thing that depresses Coraline, but the cat catches it and gives it to him with all three eyes. The world is falling apart, and it only remains to be seen where his parents are. The witch was waiting for her inside the house, with a hagless and gloomy figure, and the children warn them that he will not let her go. Even if Coraline wins, it cheats, telling him that his parents are inside the portal. And the witch, who doesn't like to lose, opens the portal for him to see that they are not in it. The cat shows Coraline that his parents are in an iron bubble. So Coraline takes the cat and throws it to the witch. This one rips out his eyes like buttons. So the witch distorts the world to catch Coraline. That goes away easy and slams the door in his face, locking the portal. Their parents arrive there, who remember nothing from day one. But Coraline is already happy with her parents. And as children sleep, they thank him for releasing them. But he is warned that as long as he has the key, the witch will look for her. So Coraline decides to throw her into the pit, so that no one will use it again. The witch's hand comes out from under the door, pursues Coraline to prevent her from throwing the key away. This one took it to the portal to free the witch. But Wybie appears to save her, and together they destroy the hand and throw it next to the key into the pit, thus putting an end to the witch's plans. We see that then he and his parents fix the garden, organizing a party with all its neighbors, thus ending the story. With the cat disappearing on the sign, tastes like a child. One did not give it much importance to all the doubts that the film generated for me now, such as, what the hell is the cat? Because in the other world he presented being able to speak and teleport, but in the real world, nothing at all. Another is how many times Coraline entered the other world. Because now that I think about it, for me, there were only two, i.e., the first time it entered through the portal. But I was really already sleeping alone. Or it really only came out when the other Wybie beat him and entered again, when he defied the witch and asked when she dies. And another one that eats my head off is how powerful the witch was. That is, because I could not leave, but he made a doll, just like Coraline, without seeing her. Kidnapped his parents, without them entering. And without it to leave. Oh, see, what the fuck, how much I could do in the real world. And if he really closed the door, he stopped her. Our unanswered questions. Finally, subscribe, like, and leave in comments. Which movie do you want me to bring you?